everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 8, Episode 5, DJI Air 4 Prototype Leak. You heard me. That's correct. Air 4 Prototype Leak. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Got a ton to talk about. Probably saw I put a video out about the Air 3S. Some people noticed stutter on it today. I did a real deep dive on it today. I found what's wrong. So we're going to talk about that. Also got an update on Pilly Drone Life, Mikey. You'll want to stay tuned for that. That's coming up. That's going to be a little. We're going to wait for Ron so we can talk about that because Ron knows Mikey really well. So, but there's a big update about that. So we're going to talk about that as well. Hope everybody's doing well. Got a full house in here already tonight. First show of February. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's see who we got. CT Pirate, Akarasho, Steve Janess, Lou, Jody Drone Shots. Let's see who else. Akarasho, Trini, welcome. Good to see you. Joni Oki. Let's see who else. I know Michael Wright was here. Welcome, Michael. Johnny Dronefire. Welcome, Johnny. Richard's here. Welcome. Art's here. Welcome. Let's see who else we got. Waypoint New England. Welcome. Let's see. Lauren. Welcome. Let's see who else we got. Chris Hope. Welcome. All right, Chris. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Got a lot to talk about tonight. Well, next week's the big game. The first thing that I do want to talk about tonight is this is a crazy good deal. And I mean, when I say crazy good deal, you need to run out there and don't stop. And you better get it now because if you sneeze, it's probably going to go away. And I don't know how long this deal is going to last. But the DJI Mini 4K drops to $239. Okay, that is just absolute insanity here. Okay, don't wait for that. Absolutely don't wait. I'm gonna go ahead and click on the link on that. It's not coming up. I was kind of hoping that. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and see. I think this is on Amazon. So give me a second here, and I'm going to go ahead and try to pull this up on Amazon. So I thought that link would work. It would take me to Amazon, but it didn't. So let's take a look here and see. I'm pretty sure this deal is through Amazon here. Okay, yeah, it is through Amazon. So let me go ahead and share that screen instead here. Let's go ahead and stop that screen. Let's go ahead and share this screen here. $238 on Amazon, okay? Here it is right here. $238. Guys, wow. I mean, wow. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. This is one of the ones, if you want this, get it now, okay? There's a link in the description. Use it. It will help the channel out, of course, but you'll get yourself just an incredible drone at an incredible price, okay? I can't, the Spectre Mini's at $269 right now. So, by all means, use the link down in the description. Get yourself one. I mean, that's just a crazy, awesome, good deal. And also, just to let you know, and I know I've been getting a ton of questions on the Spectre Mini, and I got at least 3 more videos working on the Spectre Mini. I got a parallel battery charger for the Spectre Mini and also for the Mini 4K. Yeah, so you're going to want to watch that. That video is coming out shortly. So, but yeah. Do not hesitate. Go out there and grab this deal. It is absolutely too good to pass up. Third party. Okay, Waypoint. Yeah, you're right. I'm sure it is. But yeah, it's a good deal. Don't hesitate. But what are they saying for shipping here? 3 to 4 days. So okay. Well, like I said, that's one you do not want to pass up. Okay. We all know the big game's coming up this weekend. And it was amazing because I took a look at ticket prices for the Super Bowl like I do each year. I go out there and I'll check out on StubHub or Ticketmaster to see how much some tickets are. Okay. The highest price single ticket that I found. No, I found, okay, I'm going to say this. I found the highest price ticket was for a suite, was $1.5 million. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Oh, wow. Old Parliament Oz. Okay. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Appreciate it. Hey, Greg, good to see you. Do the Mini 3 Pro batteries fit the 4K? No, they don't. Okay. You can only, they're Mini 2 SE, Mini 2, Mini 4K, they'll fit. Okay. Other than that, when you look at the Mini 3, Mini 4, those batteries are different, so they won't work. So just to let you know that. Okay. All right. FAA declares Super Bowl LIX in New Orleans a no drone zone. Okay. 1:30 p.m. on Sunday. Restrictions commence with a 1.5 nautical mile radius of Caesars Superdome extending up to 2,000 feet in altitude. 4:30 to 10:30, the restricted area extends to a 30 nautical mile radius, reaching up to 18,000 feet in altitude. In the days leading up to the Super Bowl, specific restrictions will be in place in and around Lafayette Square. February 3rd, 4 to 11. February 5th, 2 to 11. February 6th, 12 to 11. February 7th, 2 to 11. February 8th, 9 to 11. Okay. And understanding no drone zones, FAA designated no drone zones to protect sensitive areas and events. These zones are established through TFRs, temporary flight restrictions, which define specific airspace where travel is limited for a set period. TFRs are commonly implemented for major sporting events, presidential movements, and other security-sensitive situations. Drone operators are required to adhere to these restrictions to ensure public safety. Don't mess around, okay? I'm going to say this, all right? Don't be that guy. Excuse me. Just don't be that guy. Oh, quick side note here, and I want to apologize last week. The microphone that picked up my broadcast last week was not the Yeti in front of me. It was my webcam microphone. So sorry if it sounded a little tinny or distant or whatever. That was my bad. I usually 99% of the time I'll check out StreamYard. I'll check the mic, make sure it's working. But I checked it out and make sure it was working, but I didn't check which mic it was. So that was my bad. So my apologies on that. Okay. So that's a drone zone. And trust me, you don't want to mess around with the FAA right now. Just don't do it. All right. Just don't do it. So, all right. Now, remember the wildfire out in California? And remember, they initially said that a person of interest was Mr. Ben Affleck. All right. Well, it wasn't Ben Affleck here, but a reckless DJI drone pilot to pay $65,000 for LA wildfire interference. Okay. Peter Tripp Ackerman, a 56-year-old Los Angeles resident, has agreed to plead guilty after his drone crashed into a Super Scooper firefighter aircraft battling a Palisades fire earlier this month. Okay. They announced a plea deal today, making a stark warning for drone pilots who ignore airspace restrictions during emergencies. He's been charged with 1 count of unsafe operation of an unmanned aircraft, a misdemeanor that carries a potential 1-year federal prison sentence. His actions not only endangered the aircraft and its 2-person crew, but also forced the plane out of service during critical firefighting efforts. According to prosecutors, he launched the DJI drone from a parking structure in Santa Monica on January 9th, attempting to get a closer view of the wildfire raging in the Pacific Palisades. But his curiosity quickly turned into a disaster. He lost sight of the drone, and moments later, it collided with a Quebec-supplied Super Scooper aircraft actively fighting the fire. The impact tore a 3-inch by 6-inch hole in the left wing, grounding the plane for repairs. All right, and we've all seen the plane here. Government officials and law enforcement agencies have made it clear drones near wildfires are a serious threat. Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph T. McNally did not mince words. The defendant recklessly flew an aircraft into airspace where first responders were risking their lives in an attempt to protect lives and property. The damage caused to Super Scooper is a stark reminder that flying drones during times of emergency poses an extreme threat to personnel trying to help people and compromises the overall ability of police and fire to conduct operations. Okay. Echoed, lack of common sense and ignorance of your duties as a drone pilot will not shield you from criminal charges. Let's see here. His guilty pleas like to serve as a warning to other drone operators who might consider flying near emergency situations. Trying to see exactly if they mentioned what his plea is. see if it's up here. Charge one count. Okay. I saw something earlier about probation time for him and community hours. I'm not seeing that here though. All right. It didn't talk about that. Guilty pleas, warn I consider flying the emergency law enforcement. Yeah, they're not saying that here, but I thought I saw something here before. The case was investigated by the FBI. Significant assistance from the Department of Transportation's Office of Inspector General, the FAA, Los Angeles Fire Department, and Cal Fire. Okay. So yeah, so that's where we're at on this one here. Moral of the story is, you know what? The guy put up, and let's say, I don't know if it was a Mini 3 Pro, $500, $600 drone. He's got a $56,000 fine. He's going to have to pay off. He's going to have to do community service. I think I read somewhere it was like 2,000 hours of community service regarding this. So yeah, curiosity. You know what? Watch what's taken out there by news organizations or by the fire department themselves or other authorities. Okay. Don't be that man. Don't be that guy. Don't be that woman. Don't do it. Okay. That's the advice right there. Just don't do it. Okay. It's not worth it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know, he knew what he was doing. I mean, you know, it's not like, you know, that was not his first time flying a drone either. So, all right. Yep. So, all right. So that's where we're at with that. You know, let's leave that be, because there's no sense hashing that. Just, you know, when first responders are doing their thing, let them do their thing. Okay. And that includes like a local fire around you. There may be news crews up there. You know, the police may be flying a helicopter up there. Don't be that guy. Don't be that woman. Don't do it. Okay. Don't do it. All right. See the Snake River Canyon like Marcus does, or with me, our clubhouse in our development here, or Ron, some of the scenes he has from the beaches. Okay. All fine and good. Okay. But if there's an emergency going on, don't do that. Just don't put your drone up. Just don't. I mean, unless your life is in peril, okay? There's always exceptions to the rule. I'm never saying never, but you know, chances are if you need to get out, you're going to get out, okay? You're not going to want to put a drone up to see where things are. You need to get out of Dodge. They'll tell you to get out of Dodge, okay? Just pure and simple. So, all right. Moving on from that. All right, let's see what else we got up here. All right. Well, you know, we're hitting the hit parade, okay? And somebody else got caught doing stuff. Just absolutely crazy, okay? Man fined $2,900 for drone flight over car show, okay? The man found out the hard way that flying a drone while intoxicated is a no-go after being stopped slapped with a $2,900 fine in Sweden's first ever case of its kind. This was in Sweden. This wasn't even here in the United States. It all went down in July 2023, a vintage car event, small Swedish town. That's when Swedish police were flying their own drone to monitor the event when they spotted another drone in the restricted airspace. That's when they traced it back to its operator, a 55-year-old man whose blood alcohol level was 0.69. More than 3 times Sweden's legal limit of 0.2. Wow, that dude was gone. He was history, okay? The real kicker, his blood alcohol level was 0.69, more than 3 times Sweden's legal limit. For context, Sweden's drunk driving laws are among the strictest in Europe. In comparison, the limit is 0.8 in the UK, 0.5 in Spain, France, and Belgium. Here, all right? Naturally, the court didn't buy his excuse. Prosecutor said she'd never seen case like this before, was happy with the verdict. Seriously, CT Pirate, I don't get it. Okay, I don't get it. I need all my faculties to fly on a normal day, okay, without any extenuating circumstances of any kind of way, shape, or form. All right. I usually, when I'm having a beer or two, it's in the evening, it's on the weekend, it's after hours, it's usually in the evening. All right. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to go out flying afterwards. That just doesn't do it. Okay. Yeah. Drone views. Yeah. How do you do that? I don't get it. I don't understand. Please educate me. All right. Wow. It's just, wow. But it's, again, here, okay? He was pretty well tanked, all right? I mean, what? I know here in the United States, we're even stricter as far as what they consider the legal limit is, and I'm not exactly sure. I think that varies from state to state. I don't know what it is in the state of Florida, but wow, that guy was way beyond toasted, all right? He was burned to a crisp. That with that kind of blood alcohol level, wow. So yeah, that was just that wow. I have nothing else to say about that. Okay, we got another article here. Let's go ahead and go with this one. Now, this pocket-sized drone detection device tells you who's flying. Okay, recent months, the U.S. has witnessed a surge in drone activity. 5,000 drone sightings along the East Coast, particularly in New Jersey. A drone tag has unveiled the Rider, a pocket-sized device that tells you exactly what drones are nearby and where they come from. It's a wireless battery-powered remote ID receiver that picks up drone signals and relays them straight to your phone. Okay. Drone Tag's Rider, your new companion for drone detection. The Rider detects broadcast direct remote ID signals from drones flying within a 10 kilometer, 6 mile range. That means whether it's a DJI ITEL or Skydio drone, you can see its details in real time. The device connects to the Drone Tag app via LTE, Bluetooth, or USB-C, letting you track drones and understand what's happening in your airspace. It's just 64 grams, about the weight of a deck of cards, and small enough to clip into your backpack or radio controller. The Rider is designed for an easy app on the go here. All right. Designed with public safety units and professional drone pilots in mind, the Rider offers tailored benefits. Public safety units for police, fire departments, and public safety. The Rider provides real-time detection and situational awareness of drone activity in sensitive or high-risk zones. The capability enables swift response to potential threats or disruptions, ensuring airspace security and protecting restricted areas. Commercial drone pilots. For pilots operating commercial or industrial drones, the Rider serves as an invaluable tool for safeguarding valuable assets and equipment. By providing clear visibility of surrounding drone activity, it helps pilots avoid potential collisions, ensuring safer operation during critical flights. Those interested in acquiring Rider, Drone Tag is offering a special pre-order price of $899 available through mid-March through their online store. The device is expected to be available through authorized resellers in the U.S. and EU by mid-February. Okay, so it's not cheap. It's not something. It's not like you're going to pick it up for $75 on Amazon. All right, $899. That's a pretty steep price tag. But you see who this is for. Okay, this is for first responder organizations, and this is also for professional Part 107s. Okay, and if you are a professional Part 107, this would definitely be something you would want to have in your go bag, wherever you're bringing out, wherever you're flying. This will be of great benefit to you. So you know who's there. This is beneficial. This is something that's worth its weight. Although, $899, yeah. For me, I mean, if it comes down to $100, I'd probably think about it. But for $899, that's not going to be a tool in my bag. Well, because the drone flying I do, even though I'm flying professionally under Part 107, when I do fly, I'm not. It's not because I'm not working. The client I'm working for is me, okay, basically, and for all of you guys. But I'm not out there producing a video or producing data for people, producing a map or schematics or, taking pictures of an industrial area. I'm not doing that. I'm doing something for the channel. It's educational, but still falls under Part 107. But if I were to be doing that, that's something that I would consider getting. $899 is it's a little steep, but when you're a commercial drone pilot, you need to have peace of mind. I mean, that's kind of just the way it is. That's all I can say about that. So, yeah. All right. I think it's reasonable. I mean, I don't see it being very outlandish here. Something I want to go ahead and get up here. Let's see, find YouTube. All right. Let's see if I can get it to my channel here. I'm trying to find this here. Hang on a second here, guys. Let's get this. Okay, I'm gonna blow this up here now. You probably saw I did put out a DJI Air 3S endurance video. Okay, and a couple of people reported that they saw stuttering again. I'm like, so what I did was I went out there and I took a deep dive. I want to go ahead and show you the occurrences where this stutters. Okay, and then we're going to talk about this here because I think this is important. And I'd like to go over this here. So hang on a second here. All right. I'm going to set this clip up here. All right. We're going to watch part of this, and what I want you to watch is, okay, what I'm going to be doing here is going to be going up the road here, all right, and then I'm going to be making the turn. Watch when it turns, okay? This doesn't take long. This is just a few seconds here, but I'm going to go ahead and play that. And there's no, I muted the audio here. Now, this was shot in 4K 30, and I used the SD card. And watch very carefully as we get up here. You probably need to start to see it now. There you go. And there you go. And there we go. Even some more right there. Okay. You can see it very clearly there. All right. And we're going to stop that. All right. Now, one of the things that DJI did, let me go ahead and talk about, let me see if I can find that article. Okay. DJI messed around with the bit rate on the Air 3S. And let's go ahead and I'm going to throw, this is from a forum that's out there. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Bill, I'm doing well. I'm sorry I'm running a little late. We had quite the night. We went over to Ocean City to see one of the Christmas trees on the beach. They converted over to all green for the Eagles for the Super Bowl this weekend.
Oh, wow.
And then we ran into our local news guy, Ted Greenberg at NBC 10. So we got the news or whatever. So we interviewed for the news show. And then that rocket that launched in Florida flew right by on the beach or whatever, lit the whole thing up.
Wow. You've had a full evening already.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, let alone all the drone news.
So what I'm talking about right now is the Air 3S here, and
okay,
I'm putting up now. This is from one of the DJI forums, and what they had, and this is a response from one of the admins from DJI. Okay, hi there. We understand your concern. The DJI Air 3S utilizes the latest encoding algorithm, which optimizes the bit rate over 30% while maintaining superior video quality. This allows users to save more storage space without compromising on the visual experience. It will not cause any loss in adaptive video quality. Okay. Now, I'm kind of setting setting this clip up here. All right.
Mhm.
Now I went ahead, this was a link from another video. And again, I found this after an exhaustive search, and I found out exactly what's going on here with this. All right. And it has nothing to do with the drone here. All right. And there's a gentleman who talks about it here, Air 3 recording stutters, and there's several of them here, but I'm going to find the one that I wanted to talk about. Okay, here it is right here. Bro, this has nothing to do with the drone. It's the frame rate. I've shot on 30K cameras using 2425p with the same issue. The 2425 FPS is not enough to capture all the movement without skipping. Test it shooting 50, 60, 100, 120 frames per second, and you will see. If you really need to shoot 2425, then slow down the pan. You could also try slowing down the shutter speed to help mask that, but the image itself may not be as sharp or crisp. I would normally shoot at least 50, 60 and drop it into a 25, 30 timeline for FPV. The other issue you may need to look into is most screens in NTSC areas are 60 hertz. This can also cause a slight judder. We live in a divided world. So, in other words, wrong. Anybody who shoots this uses the Air 3S in 4K 30. When you're doing things like making those turns, like I've been making, where a lot of people have seen that happen, or if you're not going straight, when you're going straight, you don't see this. All right. It's when you're making those turns. And also the other thing that I noticed too is this doesn't happen when you use some of the special functions like the quick shots. Exactly. Okay. Because what happens is, okay, it cuts it down. It's not in 4K 30. All right. So I challenge those of you who have an Air 3S to look at some of your footage in 4K 30 where you're turning, or you're making a movement, or you're coming up on a vehicle, say a car coming up there, because these are all instances where this was noted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get it out. Hopefully, maybe if we have good weather tomorrow, and I think we're supposed to, is possibly get it out for lunchtime and take it out for a quick flight. And what I want to do is I want to take that bend over there. I want to make that turn, go down a little bit, and then come back and then make the bend again, because that will show to me if I'm shooting in 4K 60, it should come out fine.
That'll be an interesting test, Bill.
Yeah. And I think it's going to work, Ron. I think this is fine, because I read through this ad nauseum. There's been a lot of posts out there about this, a lot, which really has surprised me. And quite frankly, I was surprised. Now, I watched the video before I put it out there, and I didn't see it. Now, again, the first thing, previously DJI had told me, it was the refresh rate on my monitor or my PC. All right. And I had a very high refresh rate, and I cut it down to 60 hertz, and then I didn't see it. So I was under the assumption we were okay. And then today I had Richard and some other people had saw this out there. So I went ahead and I took a look at it, and I took a deep dive into it. And this is what I came up with. And this makes a lot of sense from the standpoint they're talking to. Now, the reason this is different is what I talked about with the first thing that I talked about, what DJI did to try to help us save space. All right. Now, you run an Air 3S in 4K 30, you're not going to have that happen. And I went back and I looked at footage from my Mini 4 Pro and also from the Mavic 3 Pro where I've made those turns, and there was no issues. Okay. That's because they didn't mess around with this bit rate to try to save space. I'm 100% sure of that. So I feel very confident that this is exactly what needs to be addressed, Ron.
It'd be interesting for somebody to take, say, the Air 3 and then the Air 3S, run the same exact route in 30 frames per second and see if there's any difference.
Exactly. I wish I could do that, but I don't have an Air 3. So, well, actually, technically, I sort of do, with a Spectre Air, because it's really an Air 3.
Yeah, you can do it that way.
Really kind of could do this comparison, and that's a good thing. That's a weekend flight, but I think we're supposed to have some good weekend weather on the weekend, so I think that's going to be coming up here.
That being said, though, I mean, people have been shooting 60 frames for years on drones just because of what you said. So fast movement looks more smoother.
Right. Exactly.
Like, for instance, when I'm doing, say, a cinematic video, whatever, and I want to shoot in 4K 24, I'll just cut all the turns out. So in the final video, you won't see the drone turning. But you were trying to, to do something purposely there in the video. You weren't just shooting pretty shots or whatever. You were trying to do that doors thing. So you wanted those turns in there. But say you were doing a type of video where you weren't documenting any performance things with drone. If you were just flying over something scenic, whatever, a lot of people, non-drone viewers, don't want to see the drone turn around anyways.
Exactly.
Anything. If it was a ground-based movie camera, nobody wants to see the guy with the ground-based movie camera turn around. They only want to see the shot.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So stay tuned. I'm going to go out. I'm going to do a quick test tomorrow and do it at 4K 60. And just like I said, I can do it from my driveway. Go out, go to the corner, make the turn, go down the road a little bit, come back, make the turn. And that'll prove it to me.
Your only downside is, of course, you'll have a bigger file and it'll be a little harder in your computer to do the editing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not real concerned about that. So in line with we've talked about
one quick outro on that, and people like Richard, so they're probably watching these videos on their large screen TVs. Anybody consuming your content in their phones would have never saw this, Bill.
Exactly. If they were watching a 1080p or 720, they'll never see that. That won't be an issue.
Richard said moving cars showed the shutter too.
Yeah, and they did.
Richard, can you confirm in the chat what monitor you were watching Bill's video on? Were you watching it on your large screen TV? Or
I think he said he was watching it on an Apple. He had suggested I watch an Apple, and I don't have an Apple.
Okay. Yeah.
Computer to watch it on. So, Ron had sent me something about our good friend Mikey. All right, and this is falling in line with what we talked about. The guy that was fined out in California for the wildfires, the guy that was fined over in Sweden for drunk flying. Okay,
right.
Folks, the FAA got very serious here with Mikey, and I want to share this now. Just as a note of disclaimer, this is a matter of public record. This isn't something that we went out on the internet and searched, had to pay to search for. Okay, consent judgment entered against Philadelphia drone flyer for violations of FAA regulations, and I want you guys to bear with me here for a few minutes because I think it's important to read part of this. The United States alleges that Mikey operated the flights at night in close proximity to the William Penn statue, PSFS building, and Liberty One building, resulting in the SUAS almost striking a church steeple during the flight. The United States alleges that during certain flights, Mikey improperly operated the SUAS inside a controlled airspace near the Philadelphia airport over people and cars, and in at least one instance lost control of the SUAS, causing it to fly uncontrolled over Philadelphia. The FAA warned Mikey in writing and provided him with counseling and education regarding the requirements for safe operations of an SUAS under the federal aviation regulations. The United States alleges that Mikey nonetheless had continued to operate an SUAS illegally in a careless or reckless manner that endangered others. Okay, on January 23rd, before the magistrate, he agreed to the terms of the consent judgment, including that one, Mikey admits that allegations of his conduct set forth in the verified complaint are true and accurate. 2, admits that the conduct as alleged in the verified complaint violated FAA regulations and safety guidance as alleged. And 3, accepts the administrative findings of violations and further acknowledges that the FAA will deem those matters as findings of violations that may be considered aggravating factors in any future enforcement proceedings against him. In addition, Mikey agrees that 1, will never operate in any manner any SUAS of any type, model, size, or anything within the United States, nor will he ever seek any type of certification or license to operate any type or form of SUAS. 2. Take down the YouTube channel known as Philly Drone Life and no longer operate or resurrect its content in any part, way, shape, or form. 3. Abandon those SUAS and other items he surrendered to the FAA on May 23, 2024, pursuant to the court's order sanctioning Mikey for contempt of the preliminary injunction entered by the court on February 29, 2024. On January 29th, Chief Judge Goldberg signed the consent judgment. We work hard to educate people about safe flying drones, and we don't hesitate to take strong enforcement action when pilots deliberately flout the rules. Failing to adhere to the safety requirements for flying small unmanned aircraft systems endangers people and property, said U.S. Attorney Romero. All drone flyers have a responsibility to ensure that they observe all applicable regulations and guidance. Our office is committed to ensuring total compliance with the FAA regulations and will vigorously enforce violations wherever we find them, okay? The case has been investigated by the FAA's Flight Standings Division, the U.S. Department of Transportation Office of Inspector General. The case is being handled by the Assistant U.S. Attorney. All civil claims are allegations only. There has been no determination of civil liability, okay? There's a lot there.
That last sentence you read off, no civil liability, because again, Mikey never hit anything or did any damage to any property or people or whatever. So there's no civil liability because he never hit anybody or anything.
Yeah, there was no damages concerned there. But one of the things through this, Ron, and I read through this a couple of times, I did not see anything about them waiving his fines or waiving because he had racked up over $120,000 in fines.
I think it was like $175,000 one point.
Or 170, yeah.
And it makes no mention of that in here, so I assume there's the fines have gone away by him, admitting to all the 3 or 4 things you said.
Yeah, that was the one thing that struck me about this, and
so I see it as I'm happy for Mikey that no jail time and no no outrageous fines that he couldn't pay.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, but I also think too that this is a stern warning to people out there, okay, not to ignore the FAA. I mean, well, didn't he say he had like a stack of letters from the FAA sitting on his desk?
Yeah, I mean, he said that at one time. I think the story changed over the course of years, but
yeah,
he had got whatever we call certified letters from the FAA.
And whatever the case is here, number one, personally, I like Mikey. I think he's a nice guy. I wish him. I hope things work out for him.
Before you go in, just to help people understand, as far as I know, Mikey never had any legal representation during his whole thing. So this may have not been the outcome if he'd have been represented, well by an attorney.
That's a good point, Ron, because obviously you need. I can tell you this, okay? I had to challenge an unemployment claim with Nationwide Insurance back in 2008. And to get an attorney to represent me for 30 minutes cost me $2,500.
Right. Right.
So just to, keep things in, and that was back in 2008. So keeping things in perspective, I mean, and then I had to have an attorney with my former wife and some things involved there. And that cost me, a boatload of money as well, too. More than that.
And I'm just telling you, I don't know how accurate it is, but Mikey said when he did shop for attorneys, I mean, they would have cost him, almost as much money as paying $175 he couldn't afford.
Exactly. I mean, that fine was very heavy. So it's what you need to take away from this is if the FAA contacts you, listen to them, comply with them, do what they ask you to do. Okay. And if you can afford an attorney. But if they're telling you that they have proof that you did this and they show that to you, I would still, if you can see, I have Legal Shield. which helps me, it doesn't actually pay for the attorney, but it helps me get in touch with somebody, and I can get pretty much a free consultation with one before I have to start paying the buku bucks here, kind of a thing.
Right.
So, but in this situation, it's a stark reminder here that you need to pay attention. Okay. If you get a warning from the FAA or the authorities about this, you need to stop what you're doing. Okay. You need to look what's going on here. And,
Mikey used to claim that all these letters were in response to his live flights. He used to do, up until a certain point, he used to fly and do live streams.
Right. I remember
every letter from the FAA was concerning these live streams that he hadn't done for years. I mean, I don't think he's done a live stream since 2000, 2001, but all these violations refer to that. So, I mean, his advice was, of course, don't live stream flying a drone, and never show yourself with the sticks, and never show the telemetry.
Yeah. I remember that. I feel for Mikey, but on one hand, but on the other hand, he brought all this on himself. All right. You can't be ignorant of the rules when you're flying a drone. You got to follow them. You have to. It's not optional here. And, that's the big takeaway from this. So it's a lesson learned for everybody. Just make sure that when you're out there flying, that you have to do what you're supposed to do. All right. It's so important.
Yeah. Just to kind of be the voice of Mikey here, I don't want to be too one-sided, but Mikey claimed the only reason any of this happened is he had one particular, he always called them trolls. You people watch YouTube that would constantly report him to the FAA every single flight. The guy would say, well, he did this wrong, he did that wrong. And I guess the FAA has to follow up every time they get a report. So maybe more than one. So this is all done. He got in all this trouble, not by a policeman on the street or an average Joe walking around the street reporting. He never had any trouble with law enforcement in the street. It was just people watching his videos on YouTube claiming he was doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And whether he's flying too close to a church or not, I mean, I don't know how you could be definitive that 100% not watching a video.
Yeah. I
mean, nobody at the church said he was flying too close. Nobody in the street said he was flying too close. No police officer said he was flying too close. Again, all this happened because basically people reported what he did, watching his YouTube channel. I mean, and one person kept calling up every time he put a video up. One person called up and said he was flying illegally.
Well,
what I'm saying is, Bill, if you put a video up, say the video up today where you did the endurance test, if you had somebody pick the phone up and say Bill flew illegal in that flight, they would have to investigate it.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing with this, and this is one of the questions that I had for you is when you're flying in an urban environment like where Mikey lived, because he lived in a very urban environment. He lived in the city.
But it was Class G airspace in South Philly where he took off from.
It was Class G airspace. A couple of questions, Ron. Did he fly from the ground or did he go up on the roof to fly? Because
most of the time he took off, he went inside his front door and took off of that little tiny street that's almost like an alley. I'm going to say the majority of his live streams they got in trouble for it. He took off in that street. Now I have seen him take off down by the river once in a while when he was doing those train chasing, but the majority of the flights that got him in trouble was him taking off right from his house.
Yeah. And I mean, one of my questions is, okay, to have some of the range. Now I watched some of his videos several years ago and I was amazed at how far he got. And, it still kind of boggles my mind knowing he got that far in that kind of an environment. Cause like, for example here, and I'll give you an example, where I'm located here in the development. All right. The rest of the development kind of is up here and we sit down here. So if I fly up to that area that's higher, I lose signal pretty quick when I do that. All right.
Yeah.
right now. And I'm talking about with an Air 3S or Mavic 3 Pro. I mean, it even pointed with the antennas and standing in the right direction. All right. But, you know, when I'm flying up to Clubhouse, I never do that. I never have to worry about that because it's all, you know, I'm hitting that same kind of plane. All right. It's on an equal plane. My question is, and it's, I don't know if it's not rhetorical, but, you know, him flying down low and knowing what it's like down there, because I saw where he lives. I saw the street where he lives, and I know that and everything. And, you know, and I think I know a thing or two about radio waves because I'm a ham radio guy. You know, knowing how those waves go, it just amazes me how he was able to maintain control because of the way the signals would be. It would seem like they wouldn't reach that far. I mean,
yeah. Well, in the early days when he was flying the Phantoms and say the Mavic 1, he was lucky to get a mile. He always called his miracle mile if he could get a mile on those older drones.
Okay.
But of course, that he would get feathers. We got an Aki Sync, you know, whatever, 2, 3, and so on. But the early days, the Phantom 4 era and Mavic, say the what do you call the Mavic Pro, he was lucky to get that mile.
Yeah.
And like KC Crimefire said there, you know, it's almost like the FAA did not understand Mikey was doing a comedy routine. Every flight Mikey did, he said, "I'm losing a drone. It's out of control." That was a comedy routine. He did it every single video. I mean, you know, they don't understand there was some humor involved in there. That sure, you know, sure he flew beyond line of sight. Sure he did, or whatever. And I think when he first started doing those night flights, because remember the rules changed on night flights in the beginning, was it only Part 107 pilots could do it, but then they eventually opened it up for hobbyist pilots. I think Mikey may have been flying at night when it was only Part 107. I don't know. So that may have been some violations there, but he may have been flying at night before they even came up with that first round of rules.
Absolutely.
So, and anything else like him flying too close to the airport. If he did, I didn't see that video. I didn't see the video where he's flying too close to the airport. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm sure he put thousands of videos, and I didn't see them all. Maybe he was, but I didn't see any video that he didn't take off from South Philly.
Well, you know, and we'll kind of wrap things up here with this. Is, you know, I think, and you hit it pretty well, Ron. You know, if he could have afforded an attorney, I think it would have made a big difference for him. I don't think
he probably got more off with like what do you call it, a hand slap or whatever,
a slap on the wrist, maybe community service. You know,
he couldn't fly for a year or something.
Couldn't fly for a year. You still have to forfeit your drones. You know, you have to go to FAA ground school, that kind of thing, something along those lines. Okay, because they really kind of, you know, even though we don't know about a fine, they kind of hit him. They hit him pretty hard with this.
Yeah, and as far as you know, in the drone community itself, not the FFA, the officials, a lot of people in the drone community that were negative. Mikey was saying he was going to ruin the hobby for the rest of us. We wouldn't be able to fly because of cowboy pilots like Mikey. But here we are, 2025. We may not be able to fly because Congress thinks, well, first of all, they think that China's spying on us with drones, and then now they think that the American drone companies can't get started because of the Chinese drones. So anyhow, the stuff that's going to shut drones down in 2025 had nothing to do with cowboy pilots.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Like, you know, so Stefanik and all those people, they didn't mention anything about, you know, the reason we got to stop drones is too many cowboys out there.
Right. It has nothing to do with us as pilots. It has everything to do with China and data and security and all that kind of stuff. The other thing I'll say is this is, you know, how do we know, and this is just hypothetically speaking here, all right, if he didn't have an observer watching this, you know, an attorney could have planted that doubt in somebody's mind.
Yeah. And Mikey already said that Stu guy was flying a drone and not him. And if no eyewitnesses of Mikey's flight, how could they prove that it wasn't a Stu? Look at the Drone Views Media's comment, Alan there. He says, I never saw him near the airport and I watched every video.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they, like I said, they hit him pretty hard, and there may have been some areas that were gray that they took advantage of, and it's just a sad situation overall. I like Mikey. I wish him the best. I wish he could have afforded an attorney. I think it would
Yeah,
have made
and of course, like you said before, if Mikey would have, like, what do you want to call it, like kowtow to them in the beginning, played ball with them in the beginning,
right.
this a lot of it probably could have gone away. So the cavalier attitude hurt him, but of course the cavalier attitude was his stitch. Remember, Mikey. Yeah. I know Mikey in person. The Mikey you saw, the crazy Mikey on the YouTube channels, not necessarily the real Mikey you would meet in person. Mikey was kind of playing a character in that. He was like almost like a TV show, and he was playing a much, like an overblown version of the real Mikey was what you saw, on his channel.
JSK, there was a public notice published by the magistrate and U.S. attorney for Philadelphia. Mikey had to give up his channel, all his drones.
Banned from flying forever.
He's banned from flying a drone forever in the United States. He can't go after. He can't get a license. He can't really do anything drone related here in the United States right now. So, and I posted that. There's a link in the Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group for the entire text of that. So if you want to go ahead back there and read that too. And I see what Johnny posted. I don't think a lawyer would have helped.
Yeah, but Johnny, I see what you mean, but you got to remember, though, the lawyer would have made them prove that Mikey was behind the sticks every single one of these violations. And if he had, how were they going to prove it since there were no eyewitnesses to Mikey? Actually operating his drone or whatever,
Yeah, so it's just a sad situation overall. Really feel for him. I hope he gets some of these things straightened out. Personally, like I said, I like him. He's always been nice to me.
I guess this is all over for him now. He's just got to move on to something else in his life.
Yeah, and Lord knows what. I hope he finds a good hobby without, I just hope he finds a good hobby. So let's go ahead and move on here. One of the things that I kind of wanted to wrap up with here was, believe it or not, what do we see?
Oh, yeah.
A DJI Air 4 prototype. Ron, it never ceases to amaze me.
No, is it too soon?
You know what? I don't think so. And I think probably, a lot of this is spurned with, tariffs and talk of bans and stuff like this. And I think DJI is on an accelerated basis here. And you can see leaked DJI Air 4 prototype reveals design similarities with Mavic 4.
Well, maybe I'll skip the Mavic 4 and wait for the Air 4.
Yeah. A crash prototype, what appears to be the DJI Air 4 has surfaced, offering the first glimpse of DJI's next generation consumer drone. The image shared by reliable drone industry watcher Jasper Ellens reveals notable design elements that align with the upcoming DJI Mavic 4. The prototype showcases a familiar top cover design housing two distinct sensors and an LED beacon for nighttime operations, mirroring the sensor arrangement expected in the forthcoming DJI Mavic 4. The configuration represents a significant departure from the current Air 3S model, suggesting DJI is standardizing its obstacle avoidance approach across product lines. A notable feature is the redesigned front section, which appears to incorporate an updated LiDAR sensor array. This modification could deliver an expanded field of view, potentially enhancing the drone's obstacle detection capabilities, especially in low light conditions. The absence of wide-angle sensors on the front cameras make a strategic shift in DJI's sensing technology approach. Okay, technical analysis: the enhanced LiDAR system could represent significant advancement in optical avoidance technology. The removal of corner-mounted wide-angle sensors indicates a confident shift in DJI's sensing strategy. The reinforced arm design might suggest improved flight stability characteristics. It's important to note it's a prototype. The final production model may incorporate design refinements and modifications not visible in this early example. The leak provides compelling evidence of DJI's commitment to evolving its consumer drone lineup while maintaining technological consistency across different product lines. The enhanced sensor configuration and structural improvements suggest the Air 4 could offer capabilities previously reserved for higher-end models. We would expect the Air 4 drone to be released towards the end of 2025 at the earliest. And I agree with all that. Hey, put together a very good article on this, Ron. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I'll first throw something back to you. They talk about the enhanced LiDAR on it. Do you think that maybe DJI will make the LiDAR exclusive to the Air series or whatever, to make it stand out a little bit from Mavic and the other drones?
That's an excellent point, and I agree. I think they will, because that'll kind of differentiate it and separate it from the Mavic 4 Pro,
and give somebody a reason to have both of them.
Right. If you have the let's say the Air 4 here, you don't need to get a Mavic 4, or vice versa. Okay.
Or well, you buy the Mavic 4, it doesn't have LiDAR, so you still want a LiDAR drone, so you get the Air 4 too.
Yeah, they give you a reason to have both drones. Absolutely.
And they talked about this increasing the obstacle avoidance by putting a sensor at the top. Well, boy, the Mavic, the Air 3 or 3S, it has such great obstacle avoidance already. Whatever, it's almost like, how can it get any better?
Yeah. I mean, the obstacle avoidance on the Air 3S is just phenomenal.
It's the safest drone I've ever flown.
And also using the same technology for the return to home with that. I mean, it's just crazy what it can do, and how it avoids things. It's phenomenal. So yeah, this is real interesting that this comes out now at this time.
I'll pick mine up and fall along with the Action 6.
Well, you'll pick it up on the way down for the South Florida drone meetup.
Yeah. And the Action 6 too, which they also leaked.
Yeah, we did hear about that as well too.
But it's not a pro. But it's not a pro this time.
Right. So
that's my question. Would you rather have a Action 5 Pro or an Action 6 Amateur?
I'd rather have an Action 5 Pro, to be honest with you. I think everybody's probably along those lines as well too.
Yeah, I mean, if once you roll that Pro moniker out there on a series like that, then you can't just ignore it then in the next release, can you?
No. Marcus, I just sold my Air 3. Do I need to sell the Air 3S now?
Well, sell them all. There's another drone around the corner all the time.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, I checked this morning, Bill, and of course the extra 10% applied to the tariffs that China applied. And I went to DJI's website at about 9 a.m. this morning, and all the prices were still the same. Did you look at all today?
Yes, I looked at that too. I did see today, and I did hear in the news that tariffs against Canada and Mexico were suspended, and I think it also included China as well too, if I'm not mistaken.
I read that it did not include China, but I just read that. I haven't confirmed that or anything.
Well, what I read was that the tariffs against China are pending because apparently Trump is supposed to have a call with Xi from China this week, so they kind of put that on hold, as far as I know right now. This 10%.
Bill, you may not know this any more than I do, but okay, when a tariff's applied to an item, we'll just use a DJI drone. So a DJI, whatever, Air 3S, okay, it comes over, it's got a 10% tariff. Who and when is that 10%? Who collects that 10%, and when do they collect it?
Okay, that is collected, but that'd be collected by the United States upon.
Okay, now at what point? Okay, at what point is that 10% collected? At the point of sale?
No, that would be when it makes entry into the United States.
Okay, so I would order a drone from DJI. It would get all the way over here, and then at some point I have to pay the 10%. But how and when would I pay the 10%?
No, the 10% would be charged ahead of time. It'd be built into the price.
And then DJI would just give the 10% to the U.S.
Right.
government.
DJI would just swipe a card at customs and say, this is, or however they do it electronically, and say, this is here's the 10% for all these drones that have been sold.
Okay. So as the buyer, I never have to worry about the mechanics of it or whatever.
Right. You won't
once
exactly.
I make my purchase or whatever, I don't have to know anything about it or whatever.
Exactly. You won't have to worry about it one bit. Okay, it's going to be
I'm
transparent
not running
to you
down
as a
to
buyer.
the custom center and paying some union guy 10%. I don't mean anything bad by a union guy, whatever. You run down to the docks and pay somebody 10%. It's all taken care of ahead of time. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, Marcus, yeah, I wait and get that S too. Because that S will have the 1-inch sensor. The S will have the 20 megapixels. So,
yeah. Well,
before Bill, I see it's 9:01 already. Should we make Super Bowl predictions before we
oh,
end the show?
absolutely. Go for it here.
Well, of course, everybody knows we have the Philadelphia Eagles with, I believe, a record of 14-3 versus the Chiefs with a record of 15-2. And the Chiefs are a 1.5-point favorite, and they have won 2 Super Bowls in a row. The game will be hosted by Giant Drone Flyer down in the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Johnny will be passing flyers out as you walk in
passing flyers
in the main gate or whatever.
I heard Johnny's going to be putting on a good spread down there, Ron. He's going to have all kind of good food out.
Yeah, some good Cajun food. But with all that being said, of course, I got to go with the hometown Eagles, but I worry about the officiating, Bill.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it today, and I agree with you. I'm going for the Eagles as well too. And the NFL put out a statement about the officiating today. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I didn't see
that. They have every confidence in the officials on the field to make the correct decisions, and we also have that backed up electronic by replay. Is basically what they were saying. And in other words, they were just blowing some smoke. Okay.
Yeah. That was the PR department sent that out.
It's like, okay, I'll go back in the day to Brady and Deflategate, and Belichick was stealing the signs and all that. Okay, this stuff's been going on forever.
Yeah, but this is actually even worse or whatever. I mean, this is actually happening in the field. Whether the deflated ball threw any better than an overinflated ball, I don't know.
Well, I'll go.
Last time you played pickup football as a kid and worried about how inflated the ball was.
Well, I'll go way back, okay, to when the Steelers were playing the Raiders in the 70s in the playoffs, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Webster, the center for the Steelers, he grabbed one of the balls and he threw it over to the sideline. And this was when the Raiders had the ball on offense. He got a hold of one of them. It was filled with helium. Not air. It was filled with helium.
And another Raider thing, remember when they had Lester Hayes in them, they got that stickum all over the ball.
Oh, what's his name?
Lester Hayes.
Blitnikoff.
Yeah.
He would have stickum all over his jersey.
Yeah.
All over the jersey.
Yeah. But still, none of that's as blatant as constantly given, close calls like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1s, away or whatever, or, I mean, none of that compares to those type of calls.
Oh, yeah. The calls on the field for that game. First of all, I'll say this. All right. Kansas City's a good enough team. They don't need help.
They've been the best team of football for years. I don't see why they need the refs making calls for them.
It was the same thing with Brady and the Patriots. They were the best team, bar none, for years. Okay. Yeah. They didn't need the help. They didn't need all the extra oomph to get them across the finish line there. Okay.
I think my biggest worry, besides the refs, is Barkley's had a great season for the Eagles. Ran for 2,000 yards. Could have broke the record if they let him play in the last game. And KC's real good at stop and run. If they shut Barkley down in that game, will the Eagles be able to do anything? Will the Eagles still be able to move the ball on offense if they shut Barkley?
It'll be because of Jalen Hurts. I think you'll see him start using his legs.
It's so long since he had the pass to win a game. It kind of worries me a little.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think he'll be in passing mode. If Barkley gets shut down, then that's opportunity for Hurts to use his legs, and I think he'll use his legs, and I think that'll be a key for them. And I think that's something that I don't think Kansas City will be ready for, because I think they're going to focus on Barkley, which is right. I mean, that's the way to do it. Yeah. The other thing I really feel good about is, if they're healthy, I like Philadelphia's defense. I think they play a very good, tight defensive game. I like their schemes. I like their coach. I think they can give Mahomes some fits.
Right, they have that veteran defensive coordinator who's been around the league for a long time. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's well, Kansas City's defensive coordinator Spags is real good too. So yeah, I mean the only thing that worries me on Eagles defense is they had that one defensive tackle, that real big guy. He's a pretty physical ball player. He likes to throw people around. I worry that he'll get some unnecessary roughness calls if he gets anywhere near Mahomes.
Yeah. That's all. That's something. Well, they showed today. Somebody showed Brady getting tackled in the Super Bowl a couple of times. Okay. And they said, if this happens to Mahomes, that's going to be 15 yards and ejected from the game. Okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
So,
you saw the little meme going around where the refs are talking and they said, why don't we give Mahomes his own flag?
Yeah. Pull it out of his back pocket.
Yeah.
So,
Bill, I know this isn't a good memory for you, but on Facebook today, I saw it was 29 years ago today or yesterday, whenever it's posted, that Larry Brown, won a Super Bowl MVP. I can't believe that it's 29 years ago already.
Well, here's the thing.
And the picture they had was Larry Brown getting the second interception that clinched the game for the Cowboys. And not just interception, Bill. These were what do you call pick sixes.
Those were pick sixes, both of them. Okay.
Yeah.
And Neil O'Donnell, after the game, he said he made a bad read. And, I talked to some of my friends because this came up. And I talked to some of my friends from Pittsburgh at the time. And one of them said, maybe the receiver ran a bad route. And I said, okay, I could buy that for one of those two passes, but not on both of those. It's the Super Bowl. Okay. Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't remember about the Super Bowl, and I do, which I thought was great. Or okay, the Steelers were down at halftime by I think it was a touchdown. It was pretty close.
Yeah.
And they were to kick off to begin the second half. They did a surprise onside kick and they recovered the ball.
Yeah.
I remember that. I do remember.
The Steelers were pretty big underdogs, the Cowboys, and the Steelers played much better than the prognosticators predicted, and they could have easily won that game without those pick sixes.
They got close. Bam Morris got a touchdown in the third quarter after they got that ball. They were within I think 3 or so, and they were making some noise. And then Neil O'Donnell endeared himself to the Pittsburgh fans forever.
And you know why they kept throwing the ball to Larry Brown's side is that was Deion Sanders' first year in the Cowboys, so they Neil knew better not to go to Deion's side. Yep,
exactly.
Hey, look at Josh said O'Donnell was wearing the wrong jersey.
Yep. Good night, old fart. Thanks for stopping by.
Good night.
Appreciate that. But yeah, he really was. Well, I don't know if you saw this. I looked at ticket prices. I went out to Ticketmaster to look at ticket prices for the Super Bowl. All right. The cheapest seat that you can get, this was a nosebleed seat, last row in the Superdome, was $3,500. Last row. All right. They had a suite for 25. Okay. 1.5 million.
Well, let's get that suite or whatever, and then we'll have Johnny, usher us in there, and then he can take us over to Bourbon Street after the game and celebrate.
You know what? Johnny will cater it for us. Why
we
not?
can just order that box and then sell. Can we resell seats of our own out of that box, make the money back?
Oh yeah. Well,
I'll get Taylor Swift to come in the box for a few minutes. That'll sell some seats.
Well, I looked for individual seats, like a highest price individual seat. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was probably about $350,000.
Wow.
For one seat.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if you ever see that NFL special thing about the first Super Bowl, Rozell's secretary was calling people up, giving tickets away because he couldn't fill the stadium for the Super Bowl one.
Yeah, for the first Super Bowl. Yeah. And now look at this. I mean, it's just, it's absolutely. Well, I had considered, Super Bowl in 2009, which we just, the anniversary the other day, James Harrison's 101-yard interception return, and Santonio Holmes touchdown with 39 seconds left. Okay. My son was attending college in Orlando at the time. And I had considered flying down, going to Tampa because the game was in Tampa. was taking him, going to the game in Tampa, and then coming back that night because Orlando's about an hour away from Tampa. And for 2 tickets would have cost me about $1,600 or $1,700 back in the day. Okay, which wasn't bad considering it was like, you know, figure $800, $900 a ticket. That's not, wasn't too bad back in 2000.
Yeah.
But my problem was getting a flight down there. Flights were completely booked, and there was no way I could have driven down there in time. So I had to pass on that.
Wow. Hey, I got a Super Bowl trivia question. You may be the only way you can get it, Bill. You ready?
Go ahead.
Who were the starting wide receivers for the Pittsburgh Steelers in their first Super Bowl? I don't know my Super Bowl numbers, but it was it was the 74 season. Super Bowl was played in January of 75. Pittsburgh beat the Minnesota Vikings, but
it was Super Bowl 9. It was down at Old Tulane Stadium.
Yes. The starting wide receivers for the Steelers that day.
Starting wide receivers, okay.
This is tough.
Stallworth, okay.
Pardon?
I don't think it was Swan and Stallworth.
I'll give you a hint. They were on the team at that point. They were rookies, but neither one of them started. I think Swan, he didn't catch a pass in the game, but he ran a ball for -7 yards. I think Stallworth may have caught one short pass. But they weren't the starters.
God,
once I say it, you're gonna go,
oh, I know. Well, I know.
Ron Shanklin and Tim Lewis, or is it Tim Lewis or Frank Lewis? Frank Lewis and Ron Shanklin.
And Ron Shanklin. Yep, Ron Shanklin.
Swan and Stallworth the rookies, and they didn't do much of the game.
Now, wasn't the tight end Cunningham?
No. Here's another. This is before Benny Cunningham. It was is it Larry Brown? And why he actually called a TD in the game, Brown. But remember, he only played tight ends for a couple years, and he grew so much they moved him to a tackle. He played later Super Bowls as an offensive tackle, but he was a tight end early in his career. If it wasn't Larry Brown or something like that, but he actually had a couple catches in a TD in Super Bowl I. He was a huge guy, and said, but he must have ate too much one off season. He came back and they moved him from tight end tackle. And you're right, that they got Benny Cunningham, and he played in the later Super Bowls as a tight end.
Right. I remember that. Now also, okay, our punter, our kicker was Roy Jarella, and the punter was Walden, and he had a safety. Minnesota got a safety in that game.
Right. Okay, who was the starting center for the Pittsburgh Steelers in that first Super Bowl?
It wasn't Webster.
Mike Webster was a rookie that year, but he wasn't. He didn't start.
He wasn't starting. Yeah, that and Mansfield, Ray Mansfield,
Frank Mansfield, Ray Mansfield.
Yep. Wow, I do remember that.
The running backs, you can guess the running backs pretty easily.
Oh, it was Franco because he had over 100. He got over Franco. He had over 100 yards that game.
And the other running back
was Rocky
Bleier. But Preston Pearson also played in the game.
Right.
That was Preston Pearson's last year in the Steelers.
Right. He went to the Cowboys after that.
And of course, as usual, Preston caught he actually was catching more passes than he was running the game. Preston Preston Pearson was the original kind of NFL third down back. Bill, the drone show ended at 9:00. This is the
after show.
Now the drone talk ended 15 minutes ago.
This is the after show. So
yeah, the after show. This is our Super Bowl pregame show.
We're giving our Super Bowl pregame.
We might as well start 4 or 5 days ahead of time, right?
Yeah, we're getting cranked up early here for the show. So
are any ex-Steelers playing in the Super Bowl on either team? Oh no, the Eagles quarterback.
Oh, Smith-Schuster plays for the Chiefs.
Yeah. And what's the Eagles quarterback? The backup quarterback. He's an ex-Steeler. Kenny Pickett. So the Steelers have sort of a presence in this game.
They have 2 ex-Steelers or one on each team for sure.
And Juju will actually see the field.
Oh yeah, he'll see the field.
Juju played a little bit in that championship game. He made like a nice block or whatever in one play.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Good call, Josh. Yeah, Juju and Pickett.
Yep. So we'll see that. So
all right, guys. Folks. That's our predictions. We're all in the we go against the grain, right? It'd be easy to sit here and say the Chiefs.
Oh yeah, it'd be easy to say that, but I'm still gonna say the Eagles. It's gonna go down to the wire. It's not gonna be. Nobody's gonna pull away this
Yeah,
game.
remember 2 years ago, the Eagles played KC tough to the halftime, but then the Eagles fell apart in the second half, and it was all KC in the second half. But the Eagles hung tough for the first half 2 years ago.
I think they'll hang tough the whole game. I think this is going to be a good Super Bowl, one you're going to want to record. So, anything else, Ron? Close up with.
No, I think we got it all covered. I just want to wish Mikey the best. Now he's kind of put this behind him or whatever.
And hope, I hope you can move forward, Mikey.
Yeah, it's something else. But like you said, Bill, it's a good reminder to heed the warnings again. And Mikey doesn't even compare to like the guy in LA that flew the drone into the the plane that was trying to put the wildfires out.
Yeah, well, he got hit pretty hard. It's a $56,000 fine. And
did they say he could ever fly again?
Nope, didn't say anything about that. He just got hit with a pretty substantial fine. And
before he even knew how much he said he paid for it. So I get the feeling this guy's not hard up for money.
Well, at first they thought it was Ben Affleck. I mean, they thought it may have been him, but it wasn't.
Well, hey, folks, I'm just joking here. I'm not saying anything bad about Ben Affleck, but if it was Ben Affleck, he could probably pay somebody to come forward and say they did it, and then just say whatever the cost is, I'll
pay your fine.
Yeah. If Ben Affleck really did do whatever, if he had to pay, it wouldn't matter if it was $65,000 or $165,000. He probably had the money in the bureau.
Probably.
If it was $1.6 million, he could pay. So it wouldn't matter to Ben what the fine was. And folks, I'm just kidding. Ben didn't do it. I'm just joking.
All right, guys, that's it.
Good night.
Rest of your week, and go Eagle. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly to the road to victory.
Road to victory. We'll see you guys. Have a great week.
Thanks for watching.